welcome back to the second hour of the Long Voyage for this week, and we are heading back to the pink floaty thing in the sky to find out what Sindri is up to.
Mm-hmm. I still like Rasmus's description, just blatantly calling it the Crimson Whorehouse. That has a certain ring to it.
It does, doesn't it? Anyway, what
If
are
we're there,
you up to?
Well, the Scarlet Cloud. Oh, well, as I say, Sindri is, aside of having made sure that the men in charge of the wagon that's meant to be carrying Li Ling are alerted to the fact that yes, we are in fact leaving today and heading on the next leg of our journey. So make sure you've got everything we need to go.
Yep, they make certain to, get provisions and all that you need.
Good. Okay, and then he will go and. Well, you should have thought of that before you. I don't know. Anyway, he decides to go and sit down with Li Ling and try and engage in conversation because he feels he should, and he hasn't so far.
I can't remember if you can read, especially if you can read Imperial.
Good question. Very good question.
There's a reason Ilva spent so much time. She's learning.
That's a good point.
If not, then the point being, then Archeng can translate. If you're okay.
Yes, I'd say he'll have to rope Archeng in to give him a hand.
Yeah,
but
he's perfectly happy to. Oh, good grief! That had to happen.
I said what? I'm certain that a sexual pun has flown over my head that you are now very graciously going to explain to me.
You said
you wanted Archeng to give you a hand.
Yes, a hand, not a hand shandy.
Well, you are in the Crimson Cloud. I'm sure you could get both.
A little bit of a fight knuckle shuffle.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Just as long as we don't progress to a bit of the old "how's your father," then we're fine.
Very fine. No, he's perfectly happy to translate for you. If
That's very kind of him.
Unless of course his only thing is, are you okay with him, so to say, listening into the conversation?
Yes, of course. He's not going to. Sindri wasn't planning on talking about anything particularly deep or private. Sure. It was just
What?
So yeah, Li Ling, this is my penis. It's so and so.
Ah!
How old is Li Ling again? I don't think that she needs.
14.
Yeah,
exactly. Dear God. I mean, okay, by Lotus Imperial standards, that's a legal adult, but no. Sindri's like what, 20 something?
Yes.
Sindri is 20.
Yes. So, in any case, you you have a translator.
That's good.
So you have a chance to talk to Li Ling if there's anything in particular you want to talk about.
I think Sindri just basically sits down and says that he starts to say, obviously I feel that I have not really tried to talk with you very much in the journey we've been here, and I want to change that. I feel that it's good to sort of socialise and get to know people better.
She lights up in a great big smile. Clearly she's very happy to talk to you. She takes out her, the little pad of the what's it called? She did have this little pad of papers and so on around her neck on a gold chain in a little pouch. But now that you're back inside the town, she's got her wax tablet with a stylus so that they can keep so that she can reuse it constantly, basically.
Yeah. Okay. He says, I'm not sure if you would prefer that you wrote about yourself to me, or if you would prefer that I spoke about myself to you first. I have some
She
stories
writes
to
a
tell.
few things and shows it to Ah Cheng, and he looks to you and says, she's good with either, but she's very interested in knowing more about you because she's met some of all of your friends and gotten to know a little bit about them, but she knows so little of you.
And then he's happy to tell her a bit more about himself first.
Yes. She listens very not just with polite interest, but genuine interest.
Yes. I shan't.
No.
Out of character, I shan't go into storytelling mode because, as we both know, as we all know actually, that whenever I try to do a story off the cuff, I end up waffling far too much. So, to a point, he talks about his younger days in the Southlands, about how he became a hunter, about how he came to know the others in the group.
Yep.
And how he perceives his culture and how he perceives her culture, basically.
Yep. She's interested in all of that, but she's particularly keen on the kinds of things that you would hunt. And she's also very interested in specifically in that cultural exchange thing of how do you see your own and how do you see her culture. That those are things that she's really interested in, and you learn as you sit there and you have this conversation, which obviously isn't as fast as you could, as a normal conversation, because it has to go through a translator.
Yes.
But other than that, she is an exceptionally bright girl.
Yes.
She asks intelligent, pertinent questions. It's not just oh my god, tell me some more about the great big wild beasts. She actually wants to know. For example, if you tell her that you've been hunting wolves, just for to take an example, you might have been, you've been hunting probably not dire wolves, but then normal wolves. Then she would first and foremost, she's unfamiliar with that kind of beast.
Yes.
There are no wolves in the immediate surrounding here, so she wants to know what it is. And when she's found out, you've managed to explain a bit to her about what a wolf looks like and so on. And she's clearly got a pretty good image of it in her mind. She will then ask why these beasts are being hunted, if it's for food or if it's for for pelts or if it's for sport or whatever. She asks intelligent questions to learn more.
Yes.
And when it gets to the whole my culture versus your culture, you find that she's incredibly curious, because obviously the only knowledge she has of the Southlands, which is clearly about as different from her own culture as you could probably get, she has no frame of reference except you and the other people from the Fagerferd, and obviously now only you few people in the caravan, and she's very, very interested in you learn that she is interested in other cultures in general. It's not just yours. She wants to know about all the strange places in the world.
Well, Sindri will do his best to talk about what, if that's the case, he does also then go into a little bit talking about what he experienced and what he perceived of in Tirglaz and the Green Shores.
Ooh, that has her, listening very intently.
Yes. Tell of these strange, pale people, similar to himself, but about more her size, and many of them have hair like Frothies, so more of them have red hair, and strange, even by their shared standards, a strange accent. And
she asks things like whether because she understands from what you've told her and what everybody else on the crew has told her over the time you've known her, that you were there as mercenaries, basically. And
Yes.
and then she wants to know stuff like, is it very far from your own home? Because obviously your own sword, and okay, there's a massive echo. Your sword versus whatever sword they have in the Green Shores. Eventually, such a struggle would have to be resolved. And again, she's just overall she's just being curious in a manner that clearly bespeaks a keen mind.
Yes. And I think Sindri isn't quite as sharp, but he does do his best to accommodate, because he's more of a practical man than he is a thinking man.
Right.
At least that's how he sees it. Because
Yes.
to be a hunter does require a certain degree of patience and thinking, but just not in the same way, I think. And he talks about how Tirglaz is within sailing distance, within reasonable sailing distance of where he comes from. That's why they went there first. And he talks about he then takes, after speaking of Tirglaz for a bit, he talks about the mystery of how they got to be all the way out here, because he's certain that they are further here in the Lotus Empire from his home than any other of his people have ever been. The fact how they even got here is something of a mystery. And he talks in a sort of awed and very, very quiet way, in the kind of conspiratorial way, as if, can you keep a secret about the fact that on the way there they just happened to bump into they happened to land on, and then very, very quickly get off of, once they realised they were on them, the planes of the convocation. He struggles to find a translation in us. It sort of struggles with Ah-Cheng to come up with what
Ah-Cheng catches on pretty quickly to where you were, and it takes a little while for him to remember that he actually needs to translate this.
Jaw drop.
He's just staring. He's staring at you, completely baffled. And then he asks you, just to be sure that he hasn't misunderstood you. And then he translates it to her, and his voice is trembling with awe as he does so.
Well, that part she would already know, because Ilva told of the travel there.
Yes, but Ah-Cheng doesn't know before now.
Ah-Cheng doesn't know.
But she listens and nods and enthusiastically and writes down a few words for you to read, and it's she tells you that Ilva mentioned it and told her about it, but
and the frostbite she got from that weird man that grabbed her arm.
Yeah. And she thinks that has to be just about the coolest thing imaginable, that you have had a chance to see that place of all the places in the world. And then after a while, she looks at you, and then at Ah-Cheng, and then at her, the stylus and the whole thing.
Yeah.
And there's just this fleeting moment of sadness on her face. And and she shrugs and writes down a few more things, and Ah-Cheng smiles sadly and apologetically when he sees it, and nods at you and says, well, she's sad that she's probably never going to see any of these places herself.
Yeah.
She does envy you and your friends that you have the opportunity to travel so far and see such amazing things. I have to admit. I share I share that feeling of, yeah, envy.
And I can't blame you for that. It is quite something. It is very dangerous, but it is certainly... It is the chance of a lifetime, and I'm glad to have been a part of it. And
he smiles again, this tired, almost surrendering smile, and says, yes, danger is... You can overcome danger, or you can learn to live with it, but being caught, being trapped like a fly in a spider's web, and all you can do is thrash around and get more and more entangled, and less able to move freely. Yeah. That is no fate for anyone.
No.
That is what?
That is no fate for anyone.
No, it is not.
You are a lucky man. It says you have you have an opportunity that so few get, and very few would take even if they got it. And I envy you.
I'm not much of one for words of comfort in this regard, but I'm glad that this story, this journey I'm on with everyone else, has meaning to others who hear it, even if it does leave you envious, even if it does leave a bittersweet sensation. It is a reminder in a way that ours is a story worth telling.
It is. And when one day, he says, one day you return home, which obviously is far, far, far away. But when you do set your feet on friendly and familiar shores again, he smiles and shrugs. I wonder if the things you see here, if you'll remember them, or if all the things that you have where you are from won't make these memories pale. I've heard that we build differently and probably larger buildings, and in some ways probably more fantastic buildings than you do, but I've heard from others on your crew about the nature of your home, how the mountains and the open plains and cliffs and ragged landscapes. It sounds beautiful.
It is, but I think it takes a certain... It's beautiful in many ways in its desolation, because it is a sparse and harsh land. Its beauty comes from that, and from its scope, I suppose. It's not as large as these lands are by any stretch, but it gives the impression of being massive.
And yet it may be sparse, but it produces people like your crew, and that in itself makes it a wondrous place. I think that's worth remembering.
Yes. And I shall remember this place fondly. I mean, there are many good things at this place. The culture is very different, and although we can agree there are elements that we might all disagree with, this land is vast, and it is rich, and it is... That's the impression I gain of this place. A place of incredible plenty and colour and vibrancy and, for good or for ill, of structure in a way that we simply do not have in the Southlands. There are just as many good things to come out of civilization like yours as there are good and bad things to come out of a more wild culture like ours.
Right. Well, I think that there's something to be said for difference, certainly. It still makes me sad that there are so many places I'm never going to see, but well, we can dream, can't we? He says. And he starts getting up because it's about time to get moving as well.
Yes.
But, yeah.
I mean, as he's going, Sindri does. First, he holds up a hand as if to apologise to Ling because he's about to raise his voice. Then raises his voice after him, and says, "I'm sure if you ply our captain with enough alcohol, he might smuggle you aboard our ship."
He laughs and says, "No, well, I might, but I doubt I'll see your captain again where I'm going."
Fair enough. Yeah, Sindri's feeling a bit sad now as well because he doesn't want to say goodbye to all these lovely people.
Li Ling reaches out and gives your hand a squeeze when you look sad, and then she gets up as well because it's time to get going, and the others get back right around this time.
Lovely.
Rabbery.
Right?
Yeah. Now I wonder why the hell Arching is along.
Yeah,
He's not
me too.
coming back. It's like, what? He's not coming back? Why? Anyway.
Interesting.
Hilda enters with Frodi and happily exclaimed, "Okay, we're back. Frodi did buy a wife."
I'm not going to ask, is all Sindri says, and...
Well, she's lightly used.
Ah, good one, Ilva. Frodi shows Sindri the skull.
But she has
Sindri?
pretty eyes.
This is way.
It's a skull, Frodi.
Well observed.
Someone has taken anatomy lessons, I see.
I'm not entirely sure what this says about you, but I don't see why you need a skull.
It helps with his magic.
Yeah, it's a magical skull. Makes
Casting
magic less taxing on my body.
So, what, you channel your energy through it, or you wear it like a hat when you go into...
That's a good idea. I should figure out a way to carry it on me without it getting gunked up by trouble.
I mean, as long as you do it in a way that's respectful to the remains of the deceased, fine.
But
A hat is probably a bad idea.
Maybe.
You could make a staff out of it.
Yeah, I was thinking something along those lines. But I would need to get good materials.
Please, could you just put it away? I can't stop looking at it. Sindri is looking at it. Morbid fascination is overtaken him completely. Like,
well, I'm sure she can't stop looking at you either, Thori says and puts the skull away.
Quite literally, she can't close her eyes.
Probably, Ilva, have you taken leave? Look, it can't be looking at me. It's a skull. It has some lovely gemstones in it. But
It's a magic skull.
Ah, okay, fair enough. In that case, yes, it can stab me. That makes it even worse.
Well, I am going to take Wei here away from her negligent husband and show her the world. And if she helps me with my magic every once in a while, I think that's a fair deal.
You'll take who way away?
Well, the skull is the wife of the man he bought her from. They even had a touching goodbye before he sold her.
It wasn't that touching.
No, but I was being ironic, sarcastic. I don't remember the difference.
I don't know.
She looks thoughtful for a moment.
Well, sarcastic is a deliberate inversion of the meaning behind words spoken. Irony is meant to be a bit like Goldie or Bronzy, only it involves iron.
Thordy pats him on the back and goes to get ready.
Yes, Sindri is smirking at his own terrible sense of humour. Yes, and we must all now
looks
prepare.
slightly confused.
You this awful person.
I mean, an hour ago, he was told he was a very nice person.
Yes.
So, that statement's been retracted now, has it?
No, that was the universe telling you that.
It's the voice of GLaDOS from Portal. You are a
Yes.
horrible person. That's what it says. A horrible person.
So anyway, you
Let's be on our...
you guys get packed up, and you square your expenses with Hanako and get ready to get going.
Yes.
And as usual, Thordy pays her a little extra for the good and nice food and service.
She's more than happy with that, obviously, and wishes you all a very, very nice journey forward, and she does say that if in the event that you ever come back to Kippa, then she hopes that you will stop by here again. You've been very, very interesting guests.
Interesting guests for an interesting city.
Indeed. And then you guys get back on the road.
Yes.
On the road again.
And Ilva hands over 2 large pots to Ilfi.
Gilfy suddenly just looks at it like, what are those? Do you want me to carry them?
Yeah, it's for you. It's the stuff I bought in the shop when you weren't there.
Oh.
There's a powder in this one, and there's an ointment in this one, and there are little notes on how to use them.
Oh. Okay. Like thank you. Like.
Yep.
you
Medicinal
didn't have to.
medicinal stuff.
Like, thanks, Silva. You didn't have to. But thank you. Like, that's not nice.
The ointment should help with easing pain if applied directly to the wound.
Okay.
And the powder helps kind of the same way, but you make it into some sort of tea and drink it.
Okay. Okay. So, Gilfy just makes mental notes of everything and then looks through the instructions provided.
Very simple. Very, very simple. Yes, the ointment will quell pain and slow blood flow. So put some of that in the wound, and you will not only make people scream less, but you will also stop them from bleeding out. And the powder is, as you were told, is basically you make it into a tea, and then it is a hot drink basically, and then it is a quite powerful anesthetic.
Okay.
So yes.
He made note in my thing. Okay, and how many uses of each is?
25 of each.
Okay.
Oh, that's nice.
Fairly
You
large. Yeah.
bought the big pouch because it's a long journey and we're a big crew and everyone has a tendency to get hurt.
You can say it's a long voyage.
I think that's only... I think that's only the 4th time we have made that joke in this.
Getting a little old, guys.
Yeah, it's a running gag, you know.
It's a running gag.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I'm not sure it doesn't matter. We're role playing geeks. There is no joke that we'll, no matter how old a joke gets, we are going to continue using it. That's
Of
how it
course.
works.
Of course.
That is how it works.
Yeah. Now we are only missing the mighty gazebo then.
Yeah. Yes.
One day, right, if I ever GM a campaign in a D&D style setting, one of the bosses that I'm going to have my players face will be a possessed gazebo, I swear.
I have one, and this has nothing to do with the campaign, but I do have a similar joke from when I was a young and strapping role player many years ago.
Lovely.
In one of the local clubs where I played, they had a game master who ran a D&D game who was a bit, let's just say he was a bit absent-minded. That's putting it mildly. And there was this situation where he's running a campaign with in a Dungeons and Dragons setting, or Advanced Dungeons and Dragons as it was, and
Yeah.
he's got his group is traveling to a specific town for whatever reason, and he tells them suddenly, you get over the crest of the hill and you can see the town down beyond, but there's a dwarf standing in the road. And they all like, okay, there's a dwarf. Well, sure, fine. Well, we'll nod politely to him and walk around him and head down to the town. And the GM's like, well, no, guys, seriously, there's a dwarf there standing in the road. Yeah, we get it. The player said, we understand. There's a dwarf in the road. Sure. We say polite, say hello to the nice dwarf and go around and go down to the town where we're supposed to be. And the GM's like, guys, there's a dwarf. And he's like, okay, guys, listen, dear sweet GM, we love you dearly, but we understand there's a dwarf, and we're going to ignore it and continue down to the town. And he's like, okay, sure, whatever. Okay, you get down to the town. And you arrive at the they were supposed to meet someone there, and he said, well, and then they say, well, we're gonna find an inn where we can stay until tomorrow when we are supposed to meet our contact. And he's like, yeah, sure, you do that. You get to the inn, and you get there, and you enter, and you see there's an elf by the bar, and there are a couple of humans, and there are 9 dragons sitting over there in the corner playing dice. And they're like, what? Yeah, there are 9 oh, wait, what did I say you met in the road?
Yep.
Oh, fantastic.
What?
He
Switched up dwarves and dragons.
Yep.
Because, meeting a dragon...
Specifically because it was obviously it happened in Danish, where the word for draue dragon is draue and dwarf is dværg. So draue. It's not that difficult for someone who's notoriously absent-minded to mix it up.
Yeah.
So they met a dragon and they just walked by it.
Indeed.
I'm amazed. I'm amazed.
A lot of dragons in the inn.
I was about to say, I'm amazed that particular dwarf was so inclined to let them go past.
Apparently, yes.
It was probably confused, like,
yes.
Why are they nodding at me? Why are they just looking by me?
Okay, fine.
I feel emasculated, they're not scared of me. What the
exactly.
fuck? Speaking of emasculated, I feel bitter. I missed an opportunity for Sindri to say after Cheng had said he was emasculated, for Sindri to say that basically that made him... That just completely made him a woman in the end. But no, never mind.
Anyway,
so,
you guys are back on the
road.
road. You are back on the
now
road.
Now we know what happened to Kanashi. He was emasculated.
Yeah.
You are traveling towards again towards the imperial capital, and the thing is the next for the next 2 days, nothing much happens.
I think when we stop for the first day's travel,
Yes.
Thordy will ask the others politely to leave him alone because he's going to do some magic and
Right.
he doesn't want it to fuck up.
Okay.
Magic.
Let's see. If I have enough experience with these people, I would probably tell someone I could trust to keep the others away. Because if I tell Ilva, she's just going to poke me while I do magic. So I think I trust Arching.
Okay.
So Thordy tells him he's going to do some magic. Could you please tell the others not to bother me, or I might blow up the campsite?
Right. I'll tell the others.
And when he tells Ilva, it's like, why?
And Acheng has, he looks suitably frightened and explains that he is going to do something that he says, if we disturb him, could blow up the campsite. I think we may want to take Liling and just, take her a little bit away from the campsite, just for a little while.
But last time he said that it was because I booped his snoot, and he didn't explode.
I think
Rather disappointing as well.
I don't think we should try. He just did, he was quite insistent.
yes.
Oh, he always is.
Ilva, I appreciate your desire your curiosity, but in this case, no snoot booping.
Then she boops his snoot instead.
Ha!
You get a pass. I'm an acceptable target. Frothy is not.
Yes.
Alright.
Goofy looks at Ilva, looks at Sindri. It's like, he's saying he's going to, and he's doing air quotes constantly, do some magic.
Are you accusing
blow
him?
up the camp.
Are you accusing him of?
Is he just shy that he needs some me time? Bush time?
Are you seriously suggesting that he's pulling a bargy?
Right.
Well, I
not
suppose-
going near that man, and then Ilva goes the other way.
You see, that's all you need to do is just imply that he was having a wank, and then it's all fine.
He can thank me. He can thank me later.
I'm sorry. What?
He can thank me later.
Yes,
And in the distance, Ilva shouts about not needing to know something like that about your brother.
Don't shout.
Right. So.
Also, out of character, it sounded like he can take me later.
Sure, if he wants to.
I didn't realise you were so submissive like that, just to let a man have his wicked way with you.
He is in my
Goofy,
drawing.
though.
Anyways, it seems like Thordy's plan worked, and tell the people who don't know him that well that it's dangerous, and they will overreact. So he will take the skull,
Yes.
and probably find some nice cloth or something,
Yes.
and place it down in front of him.
Yep.
Then he'll sit in front of that with a stick of incense on either side of the skull, and then he wants to try and actually do the thing he wanted to do when he first arrived in town and have some fucking visions.
Yes.
Also, he wants to kind of, in this case, he probably wants to commune with the skull, if at all possible, to get to know her.
Yes. The you do. It's a very different kind of vision you have this time as compared to the ones you've had before, where you've had this feeling of the world blacking out and you suddenly being somewhere else. In this
Yes,
case,
this time it's voluntary.
not only that, but this time you are not somewhere else. You are still there, but you do have this feeling of being drunk. This slightly slurry vision and so on. But the skull is well, it's there, and there's a woman standing behind it. She's quite pretty, not to the extreme levels of some of the women you've seen in this land so far, but she's pretty, certainly.
Nah. Well, Thordy nods to her and says, "Hello, you must be Wei."
I was. Once upon a time.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Thordy.
It is very nice to meet you, Fro. You are a very strange man.
I have been told I am not from the Lotus Empire.
Has the Lotus Empire fallen? Have I been captured?
No. We are, what you call it? Travelers, I suppose.
Oh.
And we came from far, far away and thought that we would see the Lotus Empire.
I can suppose I can understand. Is there anything I can help you with?
Well, I met your husband.
Her face darkens noticeably.
It did not seem like a happy arrangement.
Not really, no.
He offered that I could buy your skull, and I thought I would give you an offer.
I'm listening.
I am going to be traveling the world with my companions, and should you like, you can come with in whatever capacity you are able. If not, I will give you the promise that I will try to destroy your skull in a manner that would give you final rest.
That would not actually give me final rest. I don't know exactly what it would take for me to be allowed to go and join the powers. But I'm pretty sure that simply destroying the skull would just leave me there, bound to the shards of my skull.
Yes, I think so too. I am Mahotsukai, so I would find a way to undo the magics that bind you here.
Ah, yes. That, well, if you're traveling, I suppose I might as well come along. See a bit of everything. Maybe help you out once in a while.
Well, I would certainly prefer that, but I figured you should have the choice.
No, I'm okay with coming along. Thank you.
Well, then welcome to the crew.
Frodi.
Yes.
You are a strange man with a strange name and strange hair.
I've been told I look like an Oni.
Oh, no, she says. There's an Oni up ahead. You don't look anything like him.
There's an Oni up ahead, you say?
Yes, there is.
That is certainly useful information. I should like to warn my companions about it. I assume
probably a good
Oni are.
idea. Probably a good idea. Yes, now that you mention it, that's probably... Yes, you should probably tell them.
Ah, well, you're helping me already. Well, I am currently having a vision, I suppose. I think I will attempt to employ your aid in that in the future as well. I'm looking for a woman who is called the Raven.
I'm not familiar with that.
She doesn't exist yet.
Oh! So you're looking for a woman who doesn't exist yet, and you're asking a woman who no longer exists about her. There's a joke in there
The
somewhere.
irony in that.
Ah, well, I suppose it's the oddities of magic.
True.
I've already had several visions about her. I figured I would use whichever method I could to make that a more regular occurrence.
Well, you see, I was Mahotsukai in life, and I know that you cannot... I dealt with... She looks a bit iffy about the whole thing for a moment, and then she says, well, seeing as we are going to be traveling together, I might as well tell you. I dealt in death.
As in you dealt out death, or you dealt with
too.
the death?
That as well. But mostly I dealt with the dead, and ghosts and such like. I kind of think that's why I'm still hanging around. It's probably some kind of, I don't know, punishment or something. You know, the powers felt that I did stuff that I wasn't supposed to. I was
That I
fairly
get that.
powerful while I was still around. I think that's why my husband killed me.
I had a feeling he would have been your murderer.
Oh, he certainly was. I don't blame him. I mean, if he hadn't killed me, I would have killed him. He just got, he got there first.
Hmm.
So, yes, I do know that reaching out across time is technically possible, but you can't bring anything with you coming back and forth, and only the most powerful people can do so.
Yes, and since I am not the most powerful person I know, I'm fairly certain that this woman who does not yet exist will be powerful.
Possibly. I do see power in you, though. I mean, maybe not... You're not the strongest Mahotsukai I've ever met, but you do certainly have potential.
Oh, well, that's nice to know. I have a lineage of seers, but my own specialty is with fire magic, as I'm sure you are familiar with from your husband.
Yes, I certainly am. But you are not only dealing with fire, you are branching out. Would that be an accurate term?
Ah, yes, that would be accurate.
Yes, I can sense it.
There are famous shape-shifting Mahotsukai in my culture. I'm trying to mimic them.
Right, that is fascinating. I would be very... you know what? I think I shall like this arrangement, because that is an interesting form of Maho, which I have not seen. I can imagine that you could do something like that, but I'm unfamiliar with it. I should love to observe.
I should be happy to include you in my... I want to say studies, but it's really more intuitive.
Well, as long as you have incense to help bring me forth.
I did buy some from your husband, and perhaps I could get one of my companions to learn how to make more.
That might be a good idea. Otherwise, I'm going to be difficult to communicate with, I think.
Well, it was certainly a pleasure to meet you. I think I have an Oni to warn about.
You probably do.
He looks around, so how do I stop?
How do you... Oh, stop this?
Yes.
Just smother the incense.
Right, let me just... He shuffles around as he tries to figure out how to get out of the vision.
No, you are still in the same place, as I said. So
yes, but he's so used to visions being uncontrollable.
Oh, right.
I think eventually he just chuckles and gets up. And
and she and points down towards where you have placed the incense.
This is an unfamiliar type of vision.
Oh, I shall hear more of the other ones then.
Well, normally it's like a great big wave that carries you along and you can't really do anything. This is more... Well, I suppose this is what I asked for, so I will see you again soon.
Absolutely.
And he smothers the incense.
Yeah, and comes back around, and you are where you were a moment ago, basically.
No Ilva to boob your nose.
Nope, no booping.
That's surprising.
No booping of the snoot.
He picks up the skull and puts it in, I imagine, some sort of silken bag or something.
Yeah, sure.
And then he goes to find... Who's the caravan leader?
Well, by now it would be one of you.
Oh, then he goes to get together the others.
Yes.
Guys!
Turn with me time.
Yes, I had a fascinating conversation with Wei. The incense I bought seems to be working.
Ilva gets a completely wrong facial expression.
Gelfie is just somewhere off nodding, just like, yay.
She warned me that an Oni lurks ahead and we should be careful.
It's very considerate of her.
And that wasn't you.
No, she said I look nothing like it, which I assume is a
Okay.
compliment.
I hope it is.
Right.
I would really have loved to have Ren here. He would probably know how to deal with an Oni. I suppose we'll just have to kill it until it dies.
I don't think, considering our last encounter with a creature of similar persuasion, I do not think it is within our power to
Apply the Southlander method.
No, I think we need to be more clever than that.
You should ask some of the locals if they've ever heard of anyone dealing with an Oni then.
So you do ask, I guess?
Yes.
But I think Sindri will take on the task, and he will do so with tact and approach it gently, as opposed to says, "Hey, you know about Onis, right? There's one up ahead. What do we do?" So that the others are bound to do, because that's what they always do.
Well,
Yeah.
if you ask Ilva to find out what you do about it, that is how she'll ask him exactly. There's an Oni up ahead, what do we do?
No, Sindri definitely takes charge of this from everyone else and asks in a more, as I say, in a more circumspect manner. Tries to break the news to them gently that yes, there is perhaps sort of maybe kinda meh an actual Oni ahead. Not that that's a problem, of course, but just how would one go about avoiding it?
Killing it.
Since killing it is kind of off the table as far as even we Southlanders are aware.
No, it's not. Unless it's made of smoke.
So all the sort of flowery vocal bullshit aside, yes, he basically asks about the fact that there is an Oni up ahead, and how do we get around it, or how do we deal with it?
Well, you are, you are met by a fearful, frightened look on Leeling's face. She doesn't.
Yes.
She's never encountered such a beast and has no idea what you would do with it. Ah-Cheng, on the other hand, scratches his cheek and says, "Well, I can't say I've ever met one, but I mean there are children's stories of them. They're all pretty damn horrible."
Yes, I mean, I'd rather that no one in this group were used by it to, didn't have any of us for its dinner.
You're gonna have to offer it something. You're gonna have to give it something that it would want, something of greater value than our lives.
What do we have that is of greater value than our lives?
Yeah, that's a good question. It might be information, but that would usually mean damning someone else. It could be if you have valuables. They are often very vain creatures. It's not. I mean, you carry money, but I don't think that's. I mean, that might
Yes.
do, but I'm not sure. I don't necessarily think it would.
Is Dead On a success? I can't remember.
Yeah, it is.
Only just. Sindri is agonizing. He's thinking, so personal belongings of great value offered up to it would satisfy its vanity, you're saying?
Well, something that it doesn't have, something rare, something. Now, please do not look, don't cut me down where I stand when I say this, all right? I'm just going to use this as an example, okay? But your weapons, for example, you will find nothing like the metal in your weapons in the Empire. It just isn't. There isn't anything like it. Something like that might do. I'm just offering that as a suggestion, or not even a suggestion, but as an example of, that's the kind of thing. Because that would be something that you could give to such a creature and say, here, take this. Isn't that amazing? It's the most incredible thing and nobody else has anything like it. And it's going to look at it and say, it's a weapon. And you're saying, yes, but nobody else in the entire Empire has a weapon just like it because it's better than anything else. And it's going to say, okay. And it's going to let you walk away. That sort of thing. Or it might simply eat you. Or try to, at least.
Can't we just kill it?
Conceivably, yes. But in fairness, Oni are some of the most powerful beings in the entire Empire.
More or less powerful than the Smoke Man?
More.
And I assume...
They are some of the most brutal Mahotskai you're going to find anywhere. They are... Physically, they have the strength of 20 men. They are nigh on unkillable.
So yes, it comes down to we can't fight it, we can't avoid it. So we have to bargain with it.
Yes.
I'm not I appreciate your using, as you said, our weapons as an example. The point is, if any of us were to forfeit even so much as an ingot of our metal to anyone who could conceivably discover its secrets and create their own, that if we were found out to have used it, to have done this thing, our lives would be forfeit.
I understood that from back in Lanwan, but because obviously several of us tried to barter for some of your equipment because it was so different than ours.
Yes.
So that's why I specifically said, please don't cut me down when I use this as an example.
Of course, and we haven't.
Throaty raises a hand. Why is it we can't avoid it? I mean, we know it's there. Is there not another route we can take?
Do you know exactly where it is?
I might be able to pinpoint more exactly.
The problem really is, he says, and points towards the road. Unless we want to ride through rice paddies, we don't really have much alternative except following the road.
It would have been easier had Violin been here.
Yes. Yes, it that makes Acheng squirm a little because, clearly, damn.
I have a map of Tier Glass.
Is it a good map?
It's an okay map, but it's of a foreign country. I bet it's never been to.
I mean, that would at least get it talking. I'm not sure if it's enough in and of itself, but that should be enough to get it, interested.
Let's see what we have. We have, as you say, the map. We have a few small personal belongings from the Southlands. We have our very somewhat expensive Lotus Imperial clothing.
I have an idea. Arching.
Yes?
Are Onis prone to liking games?
Some of them, I think, not necessarily.
Well, I could always play a game for our freedom with it.
I think you should probably do that as a last resort. They are crafty creatures, but I'm not saying no.
It's a good last resort to have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, push comes to shove, we could try. I mean, they're cunning. I don't imagine they're stupid, but if we're desperate, we could let you play the game and try and sneakily ling past while it's looking at the board.
It's good. I mean, game. Try to bargain, then try to play a game, and then kill it. If none of the others work.
Well, what games do you know?
Well, I would actually have wanted to buy some games in the city, but I forgot. I have Tafel and Throwing Pig, and I think Leeling might have tried to teach me a game.
Throwing Pig?
It's very simple, mostly for keeping entertained, but
What
I
is
can go
it?
get it if you want.
Yeah, sure.
Pig toss, that's what it's called. He goes to get it
Okay.
and to show it.
He sits there and scratches his chin and says, I think, oddly enough, that may be your best choice. Only
To play it?
No, if you have to play a game, then go with that. Because it's one that requires a bit of, you need nimble fingers. Oni are enormous beasts. They are huge. With great big fat fingers. Well, usually. Some of them are not, but usually that's the case.
Good. I'll keep that in mind if it gets to that.
I do have the artwork I got from the...
That might, if it's, that's art, that's, yeah, that might
She
be.
shows the picture that was painted up.
Yep, that might be something, because again, you're so different. But let's see if what becomes. Let's see what happens. He says. We might still be lucky to avoid them.
Yes. We'll if and when we meet this creature.
Yes.
I would like it if you and the other men of the wagon stay with the wagon, keep Leeling safe at all costs, and we will handle this creature.
Yes, absolutely, no question.
Ilva looks skeptical. We're never that lucky. Just warning you.
I'll throw the bones, then maybe we won't need luck. Maybe the bones will tell me to wait a day and then go, or something like that.
Well, let's see what the bones say. He says.
I haven't had time to carve out the new ones, but my old ones are very reliable, so that shouldn't be an issue. And he throws the bones.
And we shall see what the bones say when we come back from this break.
Booty!